Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. So we've started our Mediterranean journey, and in my last tutorial I showed you guys how to make a really quick and easy Moroccan side dish called couscous. So today I'm going to be pairing that side dish with another Moroccan main dish called Tagine chicken. So what's a tagine? A tagine is a clay cook pot that is basically Morocco's answer to a slow cooker. Now, if you don't already own a tagine and you're not interested in investing in one, you certainly can use a Dutch oven or a crock pot, something along those lines, and receive similar results. But just use what you have. Now, a couple of key points about tagine. You should season it to make it stronger, and I've done a really quick tutorial, it's less than a minute long, showing you how to do that, and I've linked that tutorial in the description box below. Another key point is if you're using an electric coil stove or a glass ceramic cooktop, you can certainly just put the tagine right on the heat source and it should be absolutely fine. If you're cooking on a gas stove like I am, you're gonna have to purchase, if you don't already have, a heat diffuser. And basically what this thing does is it just knocks the flame down and disperses it more evenly to the bottom of the tagine, and it'll prevent it from cracking, which brings me to another point. With cooking with a tagine on your stovetop, you're basically going to be cooking in the lower ranges of heat. So you're going to be cooking in a low to medium for the most part at max temperature. You don't really want to be cooking on a stovetop with a tagine on high because you can crack the tagine. It's also rated to go in the oven. I believe it's rated from about 325 to 350 degrees. So like so many other recipes I've showed you, there's a huge variation of how to prepare this dish. But regardless of what recipe you choose, it should have one key ingredient, and that's preserved lemons. So for time constraint reasons, I didn't preserve my own lemons. I got mine at a store called World Market. Now, it's really simple to make. Basically, all you're doing is taking lemons, salt, and water, putting them in a jar, and setting them to the side for about 4 to 6 weeks, and then you have preserved lemons. So I found mine at World Market, and this is the brand that I got. You're probably gonna have trouble finding them in your local grocery store. If you don't have a store like World Market that you can pick them up, then you can certainly order them online. They're not that expensive. This was about $4.99 or $6. And you will get a multitude of uses out of it. It's just preserved lemon, so you can use it in other chicken dishes, you can use it in fish dishes, soups, stews, vegetables. It will get used. So the recipe I'm showing you today, I can't take credit for. Normally I do research on a recipe and I'll pick and choose bits and pieces from hundreds of recipes that I sift through and kind of make it my own. But this particular recipe is from a very good friend of mine. Her name is Francine, and she's pretty much an avid world traveler, and one of her trips has taken her to the countries of Morocco, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia. And when she came back from that trip, she brought back a beautiful tagine, and when I visited her, she made me this dish, and I absolutely fell in love with it. And Francine has been so gracious to share her recipe with me so I can share it with all of you. So to get the most flavor out of this dish, you should be marinating the chicken overnight in the refrigerator. So last night, I took my dry spices, I put them in a pan, I toasted them up quickly, and then I added that to a bowl that had my aromatics in there, and added some olive oil to it just to create a paste. And then I took it and I rubbed it all over my chicken on both sides, and then put it in a Ziploc bag and just stuck it in the refrigerator. So let me show you the spices that I used and how I made this marinade. So here I have cinnamon, whole sticks. You can certainly buy ground spices. I happen to have this in my kitchen already, so I'm grinding the whole spices that I have. I've just broken off a small piece of cinnamon stick. And I'm kind of just eyeballing it. So that's approximately 1 teaspoon. I'll just put that in the bowl. And now here I have whole cloves. We only need 1/4 teaspoon of the cloves. Grind that up. There you go. And again, you guys can certainly just buy already ground spices. I just happen to have these whole spices at home. So next we're doing black peppercorns. One teaspoon. And again, all the spices are 1 teaspoon with the exception of the clove, that's 1/4 teaspoon. Some red pepper flake. And I'll just give that a quick grind too. Even though it's small, I want to just make it finer. Good. Add that to the bowl. And here I have already ground paprika. So now I just need to measure those spices out. 1 teaspoon of that. And you can use hot or sweet, your preference. And ground turmeric. And some ground cumin. And here are our ground spices for the marinade. Now we'll take the ground spices and add them to a dry pan on the stove and just quickly toast them up till they come to a smoke point. And then we're going to pull them off the stove. Next, I'm going to prepare my aromatics, which is ginger, cilantro, and 4 cloves of garlic. Peel the ginger, and I've just cut off a little nub of ginger, and then I'll just measure out 1 teaspoon after I've chopped it up. So just chop it up finely. And that's 1 teaspoon. I'll add that to the bowl. And now I'll chop up all the garlic finely. Add that to the bowl. And then grab a handful, roughly 2 tablespoons of cilantro, and chop that up. Add it to the bowl. Next, we're going to add the dry spice mixture to the aromatics. And you're going to add olive oil. So it could be anywhere from 3 to 4 tablespoons. You kind of have to just work it through until you get a nice paste. So the recipe does call for 6 pieces of chicken, and you can do 2 breasts, 2 thighs, 2 legs. I prefer thigh meat, so that's what I used. I feel like it has the most flavor and holds up well to long periods of cooking. I actually have 2 extra pieces because of the way they packaged it in my grocery store. So the 2 extra pieces, I just took those, pan fried them quick to sear them up, threw them in some Corningware, and put them in the oven at 350 degrees for the same amount of time as I cooked the chicken and the tagine. And I also used the same ingredients in my oven chicken as I did the chicken I cooked in the tagine. I just cut that down to 1/4 amounts. So I used 1/4 of the chicken broth, the onion, like that. So I've rubbed the marinade all over the chicken, both sides, and I'm putting it in some Ziploc
and putting it in the fridge to marinate overnight.
Now that I've showed you how to make the marinade and we've taken our chicken out of the refrigerator and brought it to room temperature, let me show you the other necessary ingredients to make this dish.
So I just want to talk about the preserved lemons quickly first. You need to rinse them under water because they are in salted water. This is what it looks like whole, and I've just cut it in half. And now we need to scoop out the inside, and we're going to be throwing that away because we're just using the rind or peel of the lemon, and we're going to be slicing that up into strips. So here you go, and we'll just cut that up. And that's our preserved lemon. So we're using 1 whole preserved lemon cut into strips, 2 bay leaves, a large pinch of saffron, 1 large roughly chopped onion, ultimately we're using a 1/2 cup of olives. I'm dividing it between a 1/4 cup of green and a 1/4 cup of Kalamata, and 1 whole cup of chicken bone broth or stock.
Now we finally have all of our ingredients together. We can start cooking the chicken.
So here's the tagine, and I have my heat diffuser, and I'm turning the heat on to medium. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of oil to the bottom of the tagine. And I'm placing my chicken into the tagine skin side down first. Check your chicken, and once it starts to brown, you can flip it. I'm going to remove some of the pieces that have browned nicely so the other pieces of chicken aren't crowded and they can crisp up as well. So I'm just going to spread these out, turn them back over, let them crisp up a little bit more. A few minutes more and these guys are ready to come out. So now we'll add the roughly chopped onion. And I'm just going to season that quickly with a little salt and pepper to taste. And then I want to scrape the bottom of the tagine and get all those brown golden bits. That's where all the flavor is. So after a few minutes, the onions have softened, and I'm going to add the chicken back to the tagine. So next I'm going to add the 1 cup of chicken broth. And make sure you heat up your chicken broth a little, or at the very least use room temperature so you don't crack the tagine. Here we'll add the preserved lemon, the Kalamata olives, as well as the green olives. Two bay leaves, and just stick them in anywhere. A large pinch of saffron, and salt and pepper to taste. So now we'll place the lid on the tagine, and you may need to lower your heat a little bit. And we'll cook this for approximately an hour and 15 minutes. So an hour and 15 minutes has passed, so shut the heat off and carefully remove the lid. And there you have it.
Okay, so here you have it, guys, tagine chicken, and it looks and smells terrific. I've also made some tri-colored couscous, just plain couscous, so I'm going to serve myself some of that. And then I'm going to take a piece of chicken. Just help it out here. And some of the gravy. Grab some more juice. Okay. Let's taste it. Oh, look at that. Okay. I can taste the cinnamon. The garlic. The meat is just so tender. It just, I don't even need the knife. I'm gonna have an olive. The Kalamata olives. I think I like that better than the green. Let me try a green one. And I got preserved lemon. Yeah, Kalamata olives, the way to go with this dish. So yummy. Thank you, Francine, for your recipe. I hope I did it justice. Until next time, guys. Bye.